Autoweb. Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V Bradley and L.A. Williams.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Autoweb.
Hello, everyone. What's happening? This is L.A. Williams, the blind master. Man, we are pumped up, fired up, super excited to be having a conversation with you today all about how to handle price. Now, listen, it doesn't matter whether you are a showroom consultant or if you are in the BDC. Today's webinar is going to be extremely powerful for you. So got to say what's up to Sharon in the building. Got to say what's up to my man Steve in the building. Let us know where you guys are calling from. Put your city and state where you're calling from in the chat for us real quick. We just kind of want to see where everybody is. Go ahead and drop your city and state. Yeah, we got United. Oh, they popping in right now. I can't even. We got Samantha. Tell us where everybody coming from, Samantha.
All right. There's a lot of people in here. So we got Clement Ford, United, Kendall, Miami, Jacksonville, Illinois, Pottsville, Stillsburg, another Clement, Youngstown, Ohio. We got Miami.
Yo, what's going on?
It's all over the place, y'all. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, you guys are calling from all over the country. So we are pumped up, fired up, super excited. I'm going to introduce our host for this afternoon/morning, Mr. Sean V Bradley. You there, Sean?
Yes,
CSP.
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, good. So, man, folks, it's going to be awesome. I'm about to share my screen and put the presentation up. And then we have our lovely assistant, Samantha. So guys, I'm on a laptop right now. So once I'm sharing my screen right now, I can't see any of the chat stuff. So Sam's going to be, I guess, the eyes for both me and LA and identify, any type of questions and things like that. So let me just go into slide share mode. And okay, so today the workshop is going to be called How to Handle Price on the Phone, whether you're in the showroom or BDC. So again, the things I'm going to teach today are going to be very applicable if somebody's in the dealership or even if they're on the lot, but it's predominantly going to be focused for phone control. So whether you're a BDC agent, BDC rep, or you're a showroom sales consultant or point guard, those are this is what the topic's going to be today. And the flow is going to be this. I'm going to be the chief instructor, but my co-pilot over here is the blind master, Mr. L.A. Williams. All right. So most of you are Dealer Synergy clients. So you should know a lot of this stuff, but this is going to be going into depth and as a masterclass. L.A., anything to say before I start the PowerPoint?
Let's go.
All right. So just to give a quick background for the people that might be new to this, I've been in the automotive industry for roughly 23 years, and I've owned Dealer Synergy for the last 18 years, 3,500, rooftop clients on the program. When I sold cars, I used to average over 33 cars a month on the showroom floor. And so I have a little experience, you know what I mean? And then my man, LA here, LA, explain to him a little bit about you, because you were late to the co-host. I just added you to it, so I don't have a slide for you. So give him your background real quick.
Hey, listen, y'all. Listen, I'm just the average, normal little, black blind kid from North Philly who always wanted to be somebody. And so, when I got involved in the automotive industry, it was purely by accident. Sean found me in the music industry and he said, man, LA, if you can get pop artists to get songs to sound good, I know you can get internet coordinators and salespeople to get phone calls to sound good. And so he plugged me into the dealership and I was absolutely horrible until I learned some key things from Mr. Sean V. Bradley, one of them specifically on how to handle price, and he's made me into the blind phone master that I am today. So thanks so much.
Yeah, I want to just add one thing real quick before we get into it, because once we start, my pace is pretty aggressive. LA is very humble. I'm not. I'm a promoter. LA is very humble. He's one of the most incredible producers on planet Earth. I mean, the guy's the only blind certified Pro Tools operator. So that's special software for music production. He's the only blind certified Pro Tools operator in the world. Has official credits, whether it's engineering or actual full-blown production with like megastars like Beyonce, Nas, LL Cool J, Lil Wayne, Katy Perry. I mean, so wrap your mind around, this dude has worked in the studio coaching, guiding these major pop artists and hip hop artists and R&B artists and explaining about tone, inflection, sound, all that stuff. So when I met him like a decade and a half ago almost, I was like, man, LA, if you could do that with these pop artists, like wait until you're able to help, our people. It's a lot easier and a lot more money in my opinion. So let's go. All right, folks. So we're going to rock out on this. I hate PowerPoints, so I'm not going to keep a lot on the PowerPoint. I'm going to be jumping back and forth like you see me doing right now. All right. So Sam, you want to go over the golden rules?
Sure thing. So just for this webinar, we just ask that everyone keeps themselves muted. We'd love to see you. Granted, we can't really see you ourselves with this being shared, but if you have questions, please use the chat. I will stop Sean or LA to get those done. If it's very important. However, all the questions will be answered at the end of the webinar. And if you need anything, just feel free to use the chat to talk to me. I will be here this whole time.
All right, let's go. All right. So I want to just start by this. I want to get your mindset straight. Price is stressful. It's stressful to the prospect, your potential sale. If you think about it, people are stressing more now than ever because it's so freaking expensive. At list, over list, low inventory. I mean, like you just got to imagine like the freaking stress level on people. Now, the stress level is not just on the prospect. What I find is the stress level is on you. Yeah, you. I'm talking about you right now listening to this, because for whatever reason, I guess lack of preparation. If you're not prepared for something, it's scary and it's stressful. If somebody tells you what's the price and they're not happy with the price and you're not good, you're not great at responding to it, it sucks. I don't want to do something that sucks. I don't want to do something that's uncomfortable. I don't want to do something that I feel stupid on. I don't want to do something that I feel like I'm being shifty or shady with. So I want to just, before we even get into the tactical stuff, understand price is a mindset, guys. You have to understand, that like for most, you guys are mostly my clients. You guys aren't Ferrari or Lamborghini dealerships. You're not helicopter dealerships. You're not private jet dealerships. The people spend a lot of money, way more money on other stuff than they do cars. So again, you can't feel like you're crippling somebody. You got to remember that this is something that they need for the most part and that they want. So it's not like you're running up to them and you're selling them snake oil or vaporware. They need this product. So always keep that in mind. Now, with all that being said, you can handle price a couple different ways. You can handle it as an expectation or you can handle it as an objection. Now, I don't care what you're selling. I don't care if you're Dealer Synergy sales team and you're selling car dealers. I don't care if you're selling boats, Vespas, jet skis, or you're selling cars. At the end of the day, price could be one of two things. It could either be an expectation or an objection. With proper training and skill development, you can handle it both. But look, I'm pretty good at this. I would prefer to handle price as an expectation. Not that I'm scared of handling price as an objection, but not saying I'm lazy. I'm just smart at my age and my experience level. I'd rather find the path of least resistance. And sometimes us on the sales floor or in the BDC, we freaking turn price into an objection instead of handling it as an expectation. Okay. And we overcomplicate things because we don't have a proper strategy. We don't have a proper game plan. We don't have, a direction to go from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc. We're jumping from A, Z, L, M, G, R. It's all over the place. So with that being said, I want you to look at this diagram, and it says this is the inbound, outbound phone call process. Now, technically, this is the outbound phone call process right here. The inbound phone process is a little bit different. Dealer Synergy has created what's called the road to the appointment. Just like on the showroom floor, you have the road to the sale. Let me digress. The road to the sale on the showroom floor is approximately this. It's all different for different stores, but it's pretty much the same stuff. You meet and greet, you build a rapport, you qualify the prospect, You identify their wants, wishes, expectations, and from that needs assessment or qualification, you do product selection. You find the right vehicle to discuss and present. And then when you present it, you focus on features and benefits, and you do a full walk-around presentation. Usually transition from the walk-around presentation to the demonstration drive. Then from the demonstration drive, again, this is where it's a little bit different. I like to turn around and bring them back to the service department and do a service walk first. Then I go back to my desk. Now, I'm a pro, so I'm not going to go to the desk to check in. I'm going to gain a commitment and then go to the desk. If you're newer or if your dealership prefers, they're going to have you go to the desk first, get the first pencil, present the first pencil, yada, yada, yada. Again, some dealerships do a little bit different or a lot of it different, but that's the road to the sale. What I'm trying to say is that every automotive professional in the country, whether it's a half-assed process or it's a great process, they have a process to take them when they up a customer all the way through whatever the steps are to selling them and spotting them a car. Well, you have to have a road to the appointment process on the phones. Let's just say the scenario, L.A. Williams is coming to me. He sent an internet purchase request through autoweb.com on a 2023 Lincoln Aviator Black Label Grand Touring, right? I just bought that, by the way. So that's why it's stuck in my head. So let's say LA is looking for the Lincoln Aviator, right? So when he submits the internet purchase request, I'm going to call him and then try to sell him the appointment or try to sell him the car. Okay, that's the scenario one. Scenario one is an internet purchase request. You, as a sales rep or BDC rep, has to follow up and speak to these people on the phone. Scenario one. Scenario two is an inbound phone call. LA calls me and says, hey, Sean, I'm looking to purchase a Lincoln Aviator. Boom. That's a phone up. That's what we're going to cover for the rest of this webinar. That's exactly those two scenarios. Now, what you're looking on the screen here is what normal people do, unfortunately. What the average dealership does, I call this the wrong triangle. See the shape of the triangle? What happens here is that they have very little strategy, very little focus. They don't put the proper energy in the beginning of the call. And then what happens is they go through the call. I say they like to eke through the call. And at the very end, they're like, oh shit. And they try to close the appointment or try to close the sale. And they're trying to put all the energy in the end of the call. Now, this is basic science 101. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be repurposed. So instead of doing it this way, which is almost everybody does it this way, they half-ass it at first. They don't have a really thorough process, and they get through the call, and then they find out at the end of the call, oh, snap, I don't got anything. And then like, oh, man, that didn't work. So at Dealer Synergy, here's the correct way to do it. Okay. The correct way to do it is invert the triangle. Put all the energy in the beginning. Remember, in the beginning of the call, you only have one shot to make a first impression. Again, you only have one shot to make a first impression. So you want to sound good. You want to sound professional. You don't want to have food in your mouth. You don't want to have external noise in the background. You want it to be you and them, the stars, the moon, alignment, and it sounds good. And you have to have a strategy. This is the Dealer Synergy 10-step outbound phone call process. Okay. The greeting, asking permission to speak, stating purpose of the call, pacing the conversation, asking the qualifying question, identifying expectations and implementing rebuttals, transition and validating, value package proposition, trial, close, and close. Now, that might sound like a lot of stuff, but it's really not. The first 4 steps take on average of 36 seconds. Those are just the beginning of phone etiquette, and you're going to hear me in LA demonstrate this in a couple minutes. But the big part of our conversation is this. I'm qualifying the prospect. So let's go through LA. We're going to do a quick role play. I'm going to follow up with you. And this is scenario, the Lincoln Aviator. It doesn't matter if you know it or not. All right. So yep. Ring.
Hello.
Hey, can I speak to L.A. Williams, please?
This is L.A. Who's this?
Hey, L.A. My name is Sean Bradley. I'm calling from ABC Motors and Autoweb. Did I catch you at a good time?
Yep. I got a sec. What's going on?
Okay, perfect. I was calling about your internet purchase request on a 2023 Lincoln Aviator Grand Touring Black Label. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, LA, first I'm going to tell you right now, you have absolute gorgeous taste. That is a superb vehicle. It's one of our hottest sellers. And obviously, you know, for Lincoln, the black label is the elite of the elite. So you're obviously, when you're looking at the black label, you're looking for the fully loaded navigation, the panoramic, and all the bells and whistles. Is that correct?
I want everything, man.
Absolutely. And your first color choice is black. Is that correct?
Got it.
Okay, good. And just so I know, your second color choice is orange. Is that also correct?
You know it.
Okay, LA. Just so I know, were you looking to accomplish anything in particular by calling us?
Well, when I reached out, I wanted to kind of find out a little bit about what the price was going to be.
Okay, now pause. Folks, my word track is a little bit different, but there's some people that are not dealer synergy. In dealer synergy, I would say it's slightly a little bit different. That's probably what you guys would normally say. It's something easy. What are you looking to accomplish? But I already know I'm playing chess in the next question. Step number 5 right here is the absolute most important part of my process. When I ask the qualifying question, have you ever purchased a vehicle online before? So for me, I put actually a little step in there before I go to identifying expectations, implementing rebuttals. So step number 5 is, have you ever purchased a vehicle online before? Okay, so this is the reason why I do that. Follow the flow. After I just said, hey, LA, you know, you're looking for this fully loaded, you want the bells and whistles, the black, orange. Yes, I got great news. Those vehicles are definitely available. Quick question. Have you ever purchased a vehicle online before, right? LA is either going to say yes or no. It doesn't matter what he says, because what I'm trying to do is with that question, I'm trying to find what's called self-qualifying. What's his agenda? Watch. If I say no, LA, have you ever purchased a vehicle online before?
No.
No, you haven't. Okay, LA, just so I know, what were you looking to accomplish by going online? That's question 1. Let's go in the other direction now. So let's say yes. LA, have you ever purchased a vehicle online before?
Yeah, sure have.
You have? Okay, awesome. What did you like about that experience? What didn't you like about that experience? So let me pause. So when I ask that question, have you ever purchased a vehicle online before? I don't care what they say. It's just a setup question. It's given me the field intelligence I need, because again, you're either pregnant or not pregnant. He's either purchased a vehicle online before or he hasn't. If he's purchased a vehicle online before, then great, something happened before that he liked because he's coming back again. So let's go through that one first. Let's pick it up from step number 5, which is the big question. LA, have you ever purchased a vehicle online before?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome. What did you like about that experience?
It was really fast, man. It didn't take anywhere near as much time in the dealership.
Oh, wow. So you liked how quick it was. It made things easier. Awesome. Is there anything you didn't like about that process?
I think they might have overcharged me, though, for real.
Okay, they overcharged. Well, listen, I apologize that happened, back then. Again, we're going to have a whole different dynamic now because of the inventory crisis. However, here's what I'm going to tell you, LA. If we weren't able to get you the absolute best deal, I would never expect you to buy a vehicle from us, okay?
I can appreciate that, yeah.
Okay, so folks, what you're hearing me say right here is this. I'm just qualifying him to find out what he likes, what he doesn't like. Think about it. Whatever he liked, we do. Whatever he doesn't like, we don't do, right? But let's go to the other direction for a second. If it's no, okay? LA, have you ever purchased a vehicle online before?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Okay. Just so I know, what were you looking to accomplish by going online?
I was trying to find out the pricing.
Okay, pause for a second. Let me just give you some data that's here. Okay, I'm showing on the slide right here. Remember, 90 to 100% of people ask about price. They even threaten price, but over 80% of people wind up buying something different. Okay, so I want you to understand this, folks. Even before the pandemic, right? So when you ask that question, what were you looking to accomplish by going online? Almost everybody's going to say price. I get it, because that's the reaction. That's the first thing. And don't say, I don't want to ask that, Sean. Yes, you do. You want to hit it on the head, because that's an expectation. It's not an objection. Here's an objection. LA, you want to come in and buy a car today?
Hell no. Give me the price.
Okay, that's an objection. Or hell no, it's too expensive. That's an objection. I can handle that, but I rather handle price as an expectation. And here's why, okay? And this is so important for you guys to understand. Almost everybody you're going to talk to is going to say, when you ask that question, what are you looking to accomplish online? Well, I'm looking for the best price. I'm looking for the price. I want to know what the price is. However, I don't care what they're looking for. This is the data. Before the pandemic, over 46% of people that submit a new car purchase request are going to buy a used car. 22% of used car purchase requests are going to buy a new car. That's before the pandemic, folks. I'm going to repeat that. So almost half of the people that submitted new car purchase requests want to buy used cars. So think about this. You don't want to just rush and misquote a price because what they're coming in on is not necessarily what they're going to wind up buying. Even before we get into the inventory crisis situation, just because they might not qualify, they might not be able to afford it, their credit might be not so perfect, they might be upside down on their trade, they might be super frugal, whatever it is. So again, you need to remember, before you start vomiting price responses, qualification is really, really important because, again, the majority of people that you're going to quote prices to or discuss prices to don't necessarily buy that particular vehicle. Now, let's get into the reality of today. Because of the inventory crisis, because of the new car shortage, a majority of people that are looking for new cars are doing one of two things. They're either have to wait till that vehicle comes in, or they have to do a factory order, technically three things, or they're getting switched to something else. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's the reality. The reality that we used to have before, that people coming in on a new car, they're buying that new car. It's not so much because we don't have those in stock. So I want to just preface this to say that you've got to be careful not to just vomit information out there because it's not accurate. Okay, now, going back to here. Okay, I'm not trying to confuse you. I want to just say this part, that you want to have a process, like you have a process on the showroom floor called the road to the sale. You want to have a road to the appointment process, because at any point of the phone process, if the customer pulls you off to here and there, if you don't have a sequential step, it's harder or impossible to get back where you left off. That's why calls take longer and you're wasting a bunch of time. If you have step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, no matter where they pull you off from, you can get back on. L.A., do you want to speak on anything about that before I go to the next thing?
Man, you're absolutely right. First of all, I got to give a shout out to Jake from Brazil, coming in from another country. But yeah, man, you're absolutely on it. I mean, people constantly think that, oh, I need to be able to respond. I need to say something about the price. I need to say something about the price. But that's not all that folks are looking for. There's always more. And if we aren't the people that are going to dig deeper and find out what that thing is, listen, we're just going to sound just like everybody else. We're never going to be able to set ourselves apart when it comes to actually assisting the customer. So you're absolutely on fire.
Yeah, what I want you to do is this. I want you to use the dealer synergy phone process consistently, because when people tell us, when our clients tell us, oh, I'm having problems with prices, because you're skipping steps. Each step builds onto the next step, builds onto the next step. Let me just go through this again. The greeting, it's very simple. Hey, I'm looking for L.A. Williams. My name is Sean Bradley. I'm calling from ABC Motors and AutoWeb.com. Okay, boom. Is this a good time to talk? That's asking permission to speak. The third one is, I'm stating the purpose of the call. I was calling about your internet purchase request on a 2023 Lincoln Aviator. Is that correct? Step 4 is pacing the conversation. Before I go into anything, I want the prospect to get used to the sound of my voice. And so I'm not rushing it and feeling shady or shifty or whatever. But then, boom, I switch. I pivot real quick. And now I'm asking the question. Hey, LA, quick question. Have you ever purchased a vehicle online before? That's what's called, you know what I mean? It's a control question. It's a yes or no question. If he says no, then step number 6 is I'm identifying expectations. LA, just so I know, what were you looking to accomplish by going online? He says price. I could hit him with one of my rebuttals. LA, how about this? If I wasn't able to get you one of the absolute best deals, I would never expect you to buy a vehicle from me. Okay. So again, all I want to do is this. At this point is I'm not trying to solve the pricing problem. I'm not trying to quote him. I just want to get to my next step. Not because it's pointless, because it's strategic. What's the next step? I want to find out what else is important, because price is not the only thing. Price is the surface issue. There's other mitigating factors: price, availability, convenience. I hate car salesman, research, trade, credit, safety, performance, whatever. There's 50 million things. But if all we do is just handle the surface issue, almost everybody, price is the first thing. If all we do is handle the price, but not find out what else is important. So listen to the transition, watch. Let's start from step number 5 and just go now. LA, have you ever purchased a vehicle online before?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Okay, just so I know, what were you looking to accomplish by going online?
Trying to get the price, man.
Okay, well, how about this, LA? If I wasn't able to get you the absolute best deal, I would never expect you to buy a vehicle from us, okay?
I can appreciate that.
Okay, so other than price, what else is important to you in deciding where you're going to purchase your vehicle? Now, stop, folks. I'm not crazy. I get it. People are going to cut in and say, well, what's your price? We'll get to that in a second. Again, certain people will absolutely allow you to get to this part right here. So listen to it again. LA, how about this? If I wasn't able to get you the absolute best deal, I would never expect you to buy a vehicle from me, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so with that being said, LA, other than price, what else is important to you in deciding when to purchase your next vehicle?
I'm really just trying to save time. I don't have really much time to be focused on being at the dealership.
Okay, well, LA, let me assure you right now that this is one of our specialties, is making this the most convenient, easy way to purchase a vehicle. I mean, that's the whole point of the internet. So LA, let me just kind of recap and make sure I understand you correctly. The 2 most important things I heard you say was price and convenience. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. I assure you that those are the 2 most basic things that we do here at ABC Motors. But can I tell you what we do to go above and beyond for our internet clients like yourself?
Yeah, you do more.
Okay. And now what I'm going to do is now I'm going to sell all the stuff that is different and better about us. Whether it's the addendum, whether it is our value package proposition, what we do differently. Not the same vaporware that everybody sells, that we're number one, we're the best, but I'm going to talk about if we've got an owner rewards program, if we've got shuttle services, we got loaner cars, if we have free inspections, free oil changes, all the stuff that the dealership or the manufacturer does that's value. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to present value. Folks, think about this on the floor, right? Before you sell a car, what are you doing? You're doing a full-blown features and benefits walk-around presentation, and you're doing what? A demonstration drive. What is the reason why you're doing a product presentation and a demonstration drive? It's only one reason, that you do a walk-around presentation and a demonstration drive: to build value. We believe as a sales manager on the floor that if our sales team does a features and benefits walk around presentation, if they do a demonstration drive, hell, if they do a service walk, introduce people to the service and you build value in the dealership, that we will get more people to buy cars and spend more money. Okay, because we're building value. Think about this. If you're on the freaking phone, when are you building value? You're not able to do a full-blown features and benefits. You might send some pictures or some videos, and that's slight value, but it's still not the same. So that's the pro tip right here before we go to the next section, is that what I want you to do is, before you discuss price, you've got to get it in your head. Before you discuss price, build value. Again, before you quote a price, build value. Here's what I'm going to say. There are, hold on, let me go right here. There it is. I'm going to put the slide on value package proposition. There are many different things that you could focus on. For example, the top 7 things that are interesting to people that they care about is price, availability, convenience. I hate car salesmen, research, trade, credit, things like that. But then on top of that, then you've got different categories. You've got female shoppers, you've got minorities, you got senior citizens, you got parents, you got families, you got law enforcement, military, first responders, you got first-time buyers, you got people buying cars for birthdays, anniversaries, etc. You want to be able to explain why this person should buy the car. So for example, if you're dealing with somebody that's a firefighter or a paramedic or whatever, I would go through and talk about whatever you guys do for first responders, military, law enforcement. If you're doing something for, let's say, a parent, if you've got a person on your team that is car safety, seat certified, okay, I would talk about that. If you've got somebody that's buying a car for a birthday or graduation or anniversary present, you want to talk about how you're going to make it like an event. You're going to put balloons, a birthday cake. You're going to have like one of those magnetic bows on the hood of the car, whatever. You know what I mean? So the idea is that you want to be able, before you give the price, to be able to give as much value as possible. So again, let me recap, okay? When I'm talking to LA, let's go back to this slide right here so you can see it on the screen. Okay, I'm going to pick up from step number 5 again. LA, quick question. Have you ever purchased a vehicle online before?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Okay, just so I know, what were you looking to accomplish by going online?
I'm trying to figure out the pricing there.
Well, LA, I'm going to tell you right now, if I wasn't able to get you the absolute best deal, I would never expect you to buy a vehicle from me, okay?
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
Okay, well, with that being said, other than price, what else is important to you, LA, in deciding where you're going to purchase a vehicle?
Make sure I learn all about the vehicle and I know what I'm paying for.
Well, listen, LA, that's what I specialize in. I'm a concierge, like a consultant. My main focus is to be able to give you all of the information that you're looking for, whether it's the product knowledge information, whether it's about financing, potential trade-in, credit information, anything that's related to this entire scenario. I want to be able to provide you full transparency and also make it completely easy for you to make the best decision for you and your family. Does that sound fair?
Oh, yeah, it does. I appreciate that.
No, my pleasure. That's what I'm here for. So let me just make sure I understand you correctly. The 2 most important things that you're looking for is obviously, getting a great deal, and then also making sure that you understand and there's transparency so you can make an educated decision. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, LA, let me assure you that those are the 2 most basic things that I'm going to be able to provide. Those are basic to us. You know what I mean? That's pricing and transparency is basic. I mean, like that's the least that we can do when you're purchasing something as expensive as an automobile. But LA, can I tell you what else we do to go above and beyond for all of our clients?
Sure, I know there was more.
Okay, so we have what's called a value package, for our clients. First of all, we have an owner rewards program. That means anytime you come into our dealership and you do anything from, buying a vehicle, that converted into points that you can use for future purchases. If you service your vehicle, you buy parts, you refer somebody to us, anything that you do to us gets translated into points that get translated back into dollars for your future endeavors with us. How cool is that?
That is pretty cool.
Okay, I'm really proud to say that we actually still have a loaner car program. A lot of dealerships, because of the inventory crisis, have a shortage of loaner cars. But if you ever use our award-winning service department, you still have the ability to be able to have a loaner car for us. As a matter of fact, we could even have a drop-off service where we'll drop off our loaner car to you and pick up the vehicle for service. How cool is that, LA?
Oh, that's excellent.
Stop.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Attention auto dealers. You need an opportunity to do business. AutoWeb is one of the largest suppliers of high-quality leads. high-quality buyers. At a 10% closing ratio, you will be at less than $190 per car sold. Don't just settle for what you get. AutoWeb can fully customize your results through targeted markets and/or zip codes, and as a partner, you will get premium placement within search results. Who better to do that than literally the people that invented automotive internet sales? If you want to sell more cars more often and more profitably, then you need AutoWeb.
Now, guys, I don't want to go into this in detail because every dealership has different things that they do that are different and better based on themselves. Salespeople individually, I deal with some of the top people in the world, our clients and our partners, like Cody Carter, Chrissy Burton, et cetera. And these high-level performers selling 70, 150 cars a month on the showroom floor, for real, no exaggeration, they go above and beyond, because they're selling themselves. There's certain things as a salesperson you've got to be willing to do to earn somebody's business. Legally, ethically, morally, of course. But again, I have people that say, hey, if you break down, call me, don't call, roadside assistance, call me because I have a relationship with the tow truck. They could probably get you help before that. Ali Retta does that. The guy that broke the Guinness Book of World Records, he does not have any of his clients. This guy sells 150 plus cars a month, Ali Retta, and he 100% tells all of his clients to call him. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but that's what he does. And I don't know, he's one of the best in the world that ever done it. Then what is your dealership willing to do? Some dealerships do things. I'll give you an example. One of my stores, Castle Auto Group, General Motors at one point had a $500 rebate for law enforcement and first responders. They did that too, but every GM dealership would do that. What they did that no other dealership did standard officially was, on top of the $500 rebate from the manufacturer, they were going to make your first car payment up to $400. So again, I am not advocating or for or against any of these things. I'm just giving you ideas. You need to build value, because price is only relevant with the absence of value. LA, you want to talk about that for a second, about price being only relevant with the absence of value? Then we're going to go into questions and how to handle
Absolutely. If people put the word value in the chat, then we can talk about that. Just drop the word value in the chat if you're getting value from what we're talking about, because this is the key, right? I mean, the whole thing is you gotta build value. So the first half of today's webinar was all about building value and putting yourself in the best position to have a conversation with the prospect about price, right? But sometimes it don't go that smooth, right? Sometimes there are major challenges. Sometimes they ask questions that puts us in position where we're like, oh shoot, what am I supposed to say? So for the next couple of minutes, Shauna is going to talk about some of those key questions. And if you guys can think of anything additional, then you guys will go ahead and put that in the chat too. Whatever questions people are asking you, listen, we're gonna get that taken care of.
Absolutely. So what LA just said is this: we have some pre-written questions here that our clients have asked us to go over. And then me and LA are going to handle that. But if you got more, just drop them into the chat and we're going to answer your questions. I want to be real. We have the second half of this is going to be answering what if this happens? What if they say this? What if they say that? So LA, the first one is what to say when asked about vehicle price. So explain to me what that means. Like LA, what that's kind of vague. So.
Yeah. So typically, normally people just, if they say, hey, you're like, hey, what were you looking to accomplish by going online? And they say, well, how much is the vehicle? Well, what do you say when they say that? Okay.
So for me, again, I want to be very transparent with people right from the door. You know what I mean? Again, this is where there's confusion and there's stress. And what I feel is that, like, we shouldn't run from the situation. If somebody asks me the price, I'm going to say something like this: listen, I'm not sure if you heard what's going on like right now, but kind of globally, our industry has been impacted because of COVID started, and it just kind of had a domino effect where we are in an inventory crisis. There are a massive deficiency in new vehicles. And because there's a deficiency of new vehicles, meaning there's not enough inventory, most franchise dealerships have been decimated with their inventory. I'll give you an example. We have Summit Toyota literally had like 2 new Toyotas in stock, in March or April or something like that. So sometimes your prospects don't know this. They might have heard it, but they weren't in the market for a vehicle, so they didn't really pay attention to it. So I would first, before I even answer the price thing, is I would kind of just let them know of the current state of the industry and say, look, because there's an inventory shortage, pricing is completely different than it has ever been before in the history of automotive. Before, you would have the MSRP, and then some dealers would be at MSRP, but a lot of them would discount off MSRP. But because there's only limited inventory, what's happening now is that most dealers are at list or over list. Okay. And we could talk about that in a couple minutes. Now, besides the new vehicle situation, it's also caused another situation with the used inventory. Because if you think about it, because if there's a shortage of new vehicles, now people need transportation, they're going to have no other choice but to go to used cars, which means since there's a massive demand for used cars, it's also shotgunning those prices. So I will actually explain that to them. And it doesn't matter how you explain it, but as long as you're sincere, you're calm, you're not apologetic. Don't apologize for the industry. You're not the one in control of this. You're not God. So don't be apologetic. Don't be squeamish. Don't be shy. Be like a banker. Be the professional. Be the doctor. You know how hard it is? And I want to be respectful here because I don't want to trigger anybody. But you know how hard it is? It's got to be a doctor to give bad news about terminal illnesses and diseases and stuff like that. They do it every day. They got to look you in the eye and tell you the worst possible news. This is nothing that bad. This is nothing close to death, cancer, or anything like that. So remember that, folks. If a doctor could deliver like traumatic, devastating terminal news, then you can deliver the news to a prospect that, hey, I got to tell you that the economy's changed, and here is the current reality of what's going on. LA, would you like to elaborate?
You're absolutely telling the truth. I mean, that's why one of the things that I did to prepare and get really good was I volunteered at a suicide hotline, right? I got that advice from Chris Voss. He is, a FBI hostage negotiator. And that was something that he was recommended to do to become an FBI negotiator. So I said, hey, wow, that's good for him. If I'm going to be going into negotiations and things like that with customers, then I'm going to volunteer at a suicide hotline, because once you deal with that stuff, this stuff is easy.
So wait a minute, did you guys just hear that? LA said that he became a volunteer for a suicide hotline so he could develop, a whole nother level of communication skills. And this was a recommendation by a former major FBI hostage negotiator named Chris Voss, who wrote the book, Never Split the Difference. So this is not like he's pulling it out of the air. This is what an FBI hostage negotiator suggested to do. LA, am I hearing you correctly?
You're telling it 100% correct.
Okay, so can you share some of the things that you learned from being a suicide hotline, operator, and what Chris Voss from his book was trying to articulate, tied in?
Yeah, 100%. Well, one of the number one things is that people have to understand that words matter. Words paint pictures in people's minds that elicit feelings. And people, they'll forget what you said to them, they'll forget what you did to them, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So one of the advantages that I have when I'm on the phone with prospects is that I will explain things the way that Sean just said. And what'll happen, people go, oh my gosh, LA, no one ever explained it to me that way before. Right. So now that I'm explaining it to them, now I'm more than just some salesperson. I'm their personal coach. I'm actually helping them understand how this thing really works. And so I'm the kind of person, being blind or something, I always want to know how something works. I'm one of those why. I'm one of those technical thinking people. And so I feel like if I want to know why and how stuff works, then I feel like other people want to know the same thing. And so I don't mind sharing that with them. And it helps to open their heart so they go, wow, now I really get it. Now I understand why numbers may be a little bit different than what I expected.
So I love this. I'm going to jump back into the presentation. I'm going to see the question. So that's what I would say first is when somebody asks about price, before I even give them the price quote, I want to give them the reality check. I call it current situation, what's the current situation in our industry? Because I'm planting the seed. I'm letting them know, listen, pretty much the prices that were are no longer the prices that are, but here's why. It doesn't have to do with greed. It doesn't have to do with anything else. It's just, if you think about it, if you only have 5 or 10 cars in stock, and if you're giving these cars away at invoice, how are you going to be able to keep the lights on? And they might not care about that at first, but then think about this. It's more than that. If the dealership goes out of business, how are you going to service your cars? Do you know what I mean? So you got to, and I like to use this word in LA. I don't know if you use this. I like to call it an ecosystem. Our whole entire economy, folks, think about this for a second. It's an ecosystem, and it's such a delicate thing. I mean, just like in nature, whether it's the trees, with photosynthesis and things like that, whether it's the natural habitat, how like rodents, are eaten by critters and that's that whole circle of life.
Worms and fish and everything.
Exactly. So for us, if you think about it, everything is related. We need to be able to stay in business. Like think about it, during the pandemic, car dealerships, except for in Pennsylvania until they fought and they won it, was an essential business. All car dealerships on the service side were deemed an essential business. So we have to be able to self-sustain through any climate or any crisis. So we can't just be like FEMA or the Red Cross. We have to be able to keep the doors open and pay for not just the inventory, but the title clerk, the office workers, the detail people, the service technicians, all that stuff. So I think that if you just take the time and explain the current situation, I think that will help. It's not going to alleviate everything, but it's going to help. Now let's get into it further for the rest of this. The next thing let's go into is there a markup? So LA, I guess if somebody says, hey, is there a markup? Watch how I handle that. So LA, ask me, is there a markup on the car?
So are you guys marking up your vehicle?
Okay, so just to be clear, LA, are you talking about over MSRP or at MSRP? I just want to be clear.
No, I'm saying, are you guys charging more than the MSRP? Are you guys overcharging?
Okay, stop narrative. Okay, so for you guys, most dealers that I deal with are going over sticker on some or all of their vehicles. If you guys aren't, then this is an easy one. Nope, we're not. Oh, wow. And that's a differentiator, because I do have some clients that are absolutely not going over sticker on most or all of their vehicles. Those are the minority, okay, for the record. But if somebody is asking you, that's an easy one. So pretty much, L.A., this question is if you are marking it up, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's answer that. So let's ask the question again, and here's how I answer it.
So are you guys marking your vehicles up?
LA, absolutely. We have to mark up the vehicles over MSRP. And here's the reason why. We only have limited production on these vehicles. I mean, LA, it's literally taking for an order 3 to 4 months to order a vehicle. So if we happen to have a vehicle in stock, if we don't get more than X amount of dollars on the vehicle, we point blank are not going to be able to keep the doors open and the lights on and things like that. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense, right? So that's the whole thing. And what Sean did was he let me know, yes, there is, and he explained why, right? And that's the key. See, most times we just want to say yes, and then we're like, oh, but the customer wants to hang up. Well, that's because you don't know how to keep someone's attention and explain to them why things are happening. Because again, we already know most people don't know why. You can say, well, some don't care why. Well, how about you explain it to them and find out?
Now watch this, LA. Let me tag in here. Okay. So may I tag in tag?
Let's go.
All right. So check this out. So let's ask it again and watch how I flow this time.
Okay. So are you guys marking up your vehicles?
LA, absolutely. We are marking our vehicles up roughly about $5,000 to $6,000 over MSRP. But let me just share this with you. MSRP stands for manufacturer's suggested retail price. The S in MSRP is just suggested. And sometimes when I talk to my clients, they didn't realize that the manufacturers only suggest is that this is what the price should be, you know what I mean? Or could be, I should say. And before the pandemic, even though the manufacturer price was this, a lot of times the public got the benefit of under MSRP, but because of the COVID situation, it's only a suggested price. And, you know, we respectfully appreciate the suggestion, but due to current market situations and circumstances, we have to go above the suggested price to this price. Does that make sense, LA?
Yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from.
Yeah. So again, a lot of people think when they say sticker, like that's the sticker on there. No, that's not like the price. That's just a recommendation from the manufacturer. So it could go below and it could go above. And I got to tell you, I've been in the industry for 20 plus years, and most of my career, it was below the suggested price. Currently, like everything else, as you could be aware, is expensive. It's the same thing with cars. And that's another pivot point I'm going to say to you guys right here. You know what I mean? Utilize the rest of the world. Okay. I would say something like this. This is where I'm making it like I'm trying to not take it. I'm trying to not focus it all on me as the car person, as the dealership representative. I want to say something like this. Watch, LA, right or wrong, have you seen a lot of increases in other things, whether it's the real estate market, the gases? Jesus, the gas is the great thing because that's all over the news. Gas prices, gas prices, gas prices. Use that shit, people. Use that. The gas is probably better because that's what everybody sees on a daily basis. Most people are not buying houses every day, but they could see the whole economy. So let's use that one. Let's stay with that. If you want to mention real estate or anything else, but I would say something is LA. Yes, you know what I mean? We are definitely marking above the MSRP, but I want to stress to you that the S in MSRP is just suggested retail price. Because of the current market situations and the inventory crisis that we have to unfortunately go above, the MSRP. Now, but LA, it's not just us. That's the power word track right there. LA, it's not just us. It's all dealerships across the industry, across the United States. And it's not just the automotive industry. It's almost everything right now. For example, the real estate market, but think of the gas prices. Every day there's all this news out there. The gas prices are so high. Everything is just exacerbated because of this whole pandemic. Does that make sense, LA?
Absolutely. Sean, let me kind of jump in here because what you're saying is what I've been teaching to our clients for months now. And I am a proponent of, I love the Socratic selling method. Sean taught that to me years ago. And so I might ask the question, I might say, well, let me ask you, Mr. Customer, what does MSRP, what does that even stand for? Most people don't know. So then I'll let them know, it's the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Now, let me ask you this. When, Sean, did they make this suggestion to buy this 2022 whatever vehicle? When did they make the suggestion? Well, when they made the vehicle. Well, it might have been, August or September. Okay, let's go with September. Let me ask you, gas prices. Were gas prices lower or higher now than they were in September? Well, they're higher now. Okay, yeah. Okay. What about bread? Bread, is bread higher or lower than it was in September? Well, it's higher. Okay. Well, let me ask you, is there any logical reason why a vehicle would not be in a similar situation?
Ooh,
and see, I'll just help it make sense to them.
LA, I love it. I absolutely love it. So here's the other thing that I could say too, if I might pivot back in a different direction. Because this is if somebody asks, is there a markup? If there's a markup, if you guys have an addendum, right? Like I would explain the value here. So let's go in a different direction. Same concept, but here's a different way that I would handle it. Okay, LA, ask me again.
Okay, so you guys marking your vehicles up?
Yes, LA, we absolutely are marking our vehicles up. The MSRP stands for Manufactured Suggested Retail Price. And again, that's just a suggestion. And I got to tell you right now, I've got some good news, though. Even though it's a little bit higher than what it used to be, we're providing a lot of value. So let me just take a moment to tell you what we're doing to kind of offset the price increase because of the current market situation. And this is where you talk about and you list the different things that are on the addendum. Some dealerships have actual product, whether they're nitrous, in the tires, or they're pinstripe, or there's paint sealant, or there's an alarm, or there's etch, or whatever it is. Or if you don't have any type of tangible things, you want to be able to make sure that you have whatever your value is. Now, some dealers, I'm going to tell you right now, they have addendums that just say the price is it's just the price. It's $10,000 over sticker or $5,000 over sticker, and there's no value. And that's a little bit harder. And so what I would use is your dealership's value package proposition, the things that I was saying before earlier in the presentation, whatever you do, the intangibles. But I do have a bunch of dealerships that actually itemize different products and different tangible things. Think about this, guys. If you have to give what the customer might feel bad news or difficult news, then give them the good news too. Say, yes, we are going to be charging a little bit more, but the good news is this: we're going to be providing all of this additional value. LA, can you freestyle on that for a minute?
Absolutely, man. I mean, the whole thing is people just want to see things one-sided, right? There's no one-sided piece of paper. There's no one-sided piece of bread. Even people think they're having a bad day. You also could be having a good day and you're just not focused on it. So what we do a lot of times is we allow the customer to focus on the negative side of being charged more. But when you think about it, there is a positive side of paying a little bit more, right? How many people been to Ruth Chris Steakhouse, and not to, really give them any kind of boost, but versus McDonald's, right? I mean, you're going to pay a lot less at McDonald's, but is it the same value? Everyone knows it's absolutely not. So the whole point is that if I'm going to spend a little bit more, I need to get a little bit more, right? If I go to certain stores and I buy a suit, it's going to be a little bit different than if I go to other stores and buy a suit. People are going to say, oh, well, it's the same suit. Is it really? Is it really? Sean, some of the service that you receive when you go to certain dealerships, when you buy certain things, it's totally different than it was, going to the penny candy store. Am I telling the truth?
100%. So LA, here's another thing that we should kind of also focus on is the good news with this. Okay. And let me explain what I'm saying by that is, what about the fact that used cars are worth more now than they ever have before? So whenever I give bad news, I want to give good news too. So here's another thing that you guys could say. So LA, it might not feel great that things are a little bit more expensive, but I actually have some good news with this. your trade-in, if you've got a trade-in, is worth more than it's ever worth before. Let me explain to you how crazy the situation is right now. I've got people that have leases, and normally they'll just term their lease. They'll turn in their lease. We're able to like very easy, almost on a daily basis, to trade people out of their leases, which is not like something normally that happens. And they have equity in there. As a matter of fact, my daughter literally just came out of a lease, and, she had over $5,000 equity in a lease that was rolled into it. So again, there might be an amazing opportunity. And by the way, folks, that's a true story. She went out of a Hyundai something and got into a brand new 2022 GMC Terrain with 5G's equity in there out of a Hyundai lease. I can't even make this shit up. So again, if you give somebody what they might see as bad news, or what you might think is difficult news, I don't want to, this is hard to deal with, give them the good news. The truth is that your used car was never worth more than it is today, right now. And so, yes, this is still the right time, because one of the questions is, I think I want to wait because the market is so high. Here's what I say to that, LA. So if you said, let's use that right there, LA. Say something like, Sean, I think I'm going to wait. I think it's too expensive for me to buy.
This whole market is just crazy. I think I'm just going to wait, man, until prices come down.
LA, I could appreciate that. However, I want to give you a counterpoint to that. Listen, I'm here to help you. If you want to wait, I'm here to wait for you and with you. But I want you to just have the proper information. Is that first and foremost, we don't know how the market is going to go. Meaning it might get worse. It might get a lot worse before it gets better. I don't know. You know what I mean? So you got to gauge that risk. The second thing is that if you do have a vehicle, even though it's worth more now, every day that you have that vehicle still depreciates. So your pre-owned vehicle, your trade-in, is worth the most today. So what's happening is this: by you deciding to potentially wait, you are risking and you're gambling on two variables. On the new vehicle that you want to buy, it might get worse potentially in your mind, and your current vehicle might be worth less. So again, if you want to wait, not a problem. However, you should really kind of weigh these risks in that decision. LA, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. See, I have the benefit of being a financial professional. And so one of the things that I let people know is that, did you know, Sean, that over the last 2.5 months, let's say the last 30 months, our economy has gotten over $700 billion dumped into it. It's literally, almost $1 trillion. And so what happened is, the value of the dollar, what happens when you just throw more dollars that you just print? The value of the dollar comes down. So it's not so much that the vehicles are going up in price. Yeah, there's a little supply and demand and things like that. And what's happening is the value of the dollar is coming down. So it takes more dollars to get the same thing done than it used to. You see what I'm saying? So this is one thing that folks have to really understand. So let's talk about this. I know you say you want to wait, and that I can see how that may make sense to you. Let's think about this. 6 months ago, and this is the same situation, right? Were prices lower? Yeah, they were. Okay, 6 months before that, were prices lower? Yeah, okay, 6 months before. So what logical reason would you think of if you want to wait 6 months? Is there anything that makes you think that the numbers are going to go down? It's not like they can just vacuum the money that was poured into the economy out of the economy. No, it's not going to happen. So what's going to happen is the numbers are going to keep going up and up and up. If you think about it, what has happened? Everybody says, oh, when I was a kid, hug juices used to only be 25 cents. Now they're 55 cents. You see what I'm saying? Everything goes up in price. That's how the economy works.
I love it. So LA, we got time for one more, not question, and then we're going to open up to questions if anybody in the audience has. And we'll probably go a couple minutes over. So what other scenarios were people asking for how to handle?
Well, yeah, I think we got some of on there. Sometimes people say, how much is your markup? They're asking a lot of questions. What were some of the other questions that we have here?
We covered them all. What to say when asked about the MSRP? We handled that. I don't want to pay over the MSRP. Again, let's just use that. So if somebody says, I don't want to pay over the MSRP, what would you say?
Yeah, I don't want. What would I say? Well, no, I totally understand where you're coming from. And then I would use the whole conversation about the suggestion and what the retail price is. This is a suggestion thing. And so I would talk about how the suggested retail price back in January, October, August, how that was then and this is now type of situation.
Yeah, we covered that. I want to go to a different direction,
absolutely.
Elliot. Here's what that's different. But I hear that because I think that here, watch, if you said, if I said to you, I don't want to pay over MSRP, and you said that, I say, Elliot, I hear what you're saying. I get it's only a suggestion. I just don't want to pay over MSRP. I don't want to do that. Like I barely want to pay at MSRP, and I'm willing to pay MSRP, but I am not willing to pay over MSRP. You want to hear how Sean Bradley would handle it? This is what I would say. And I don't know if you guys are going to like this or not, but I'm a real motherfucking person. And I said that. I would talk to them very respectfully, but real. I'd say, LA, I totally get it. There's a lot of things that I've got to do that I don't want to do. I don't want to die. That's going to happen. I don't want to pay taxes. I got to do that. Sometimes I don't want to stop at stop signs when there's nobody around at 2:00 in the morning, but I got to do that shit. You know what I mean? And so I'll have a little humor, but I'll say, look, every day I do things that I don't want to do because I have to, or I need to. And then when you break stuff down logically to some people, me or LA, we're not car gods. We don't have a magic bullet that's going to solve everybody's situation, but we're prepared this way. And the majority of people I will be able to sell a car to or sell an appointment to. So again, I'm going to repeat that. If somebody says they want to pay MSRP, I'd be like, neither would I. I'll be honest with you. Neither would I. I would not want to pay that either. But if I need the vehicle or I want the vehicle, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to secure that vehicle. But with that being said, LA, the other thing I'm going to tell you is this. By doing this, you have a trade-in. Here's what I'm suggesting. Before you make your final decision, let's set up an appointment for you to come in. Let's make sure that you like this vehicle and love it, because hell, if you're going to pay anything close to sticker over sticker, let's make sure this is the vehicle for you, right? And while we're doing that, we could appraise your vehicle. I have my certified used car appraisers here. As I'm showing you this vehicle, he or she could turn around and see how much equity you have in that vehicle in LA and how much above value we can go on your vehicle. So again, and then when you have all the information, then you can make that decision if this is the right decision for you. Because follow me on this, I get it. If you're paying more than you normally thought you were going to do or you felt comfortable at doing, that's uncomfortable. I get it. However, if you are able to get more for your trade-in than you ever thought or you ever could before, it might not balance it out equally, but it might get it closer to a closer playing field. LA, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There is actually a question in the chat. Alexis is asking us how do we handle it if they say, well, I already know how the vehicle drives and I already know all of that different type of stuff. How do you handle that?
There you go. Okay. So again, here's the key. Remember, you got to follow the process. So whenever there's questions, I only follow my dealer synergy process. So if I'm calling and I'm going through the dealer synergy steps, I should be able to handle it this way. But again, if we're just randomly saying, come in, it might not work what I'm going to do. But if I follow my dealer synergy steps and I say what I just said, and they say, listen, Sean, LA, you go, role play. Come on.
Yeah, I get all that, Sean. I already know how the vehicle drives, so I don't need that. I just need to be able to, get this pricing.
Okay, so LA, I want to just make sure that we're on the same page. The exact vehicle that we have in stock right now, have you driven this one equipped this way? Because there's only 2 in stock in the Northeast region of the United States. So what I would try to do is I would try to make sure it's apples to apples. That's the first thing I'm going to try to do, because the chances of that prospect actually test driving the exact vehicle that you have in stock right now with the current inventory shortage is probably very, very low. And that's what I would gravitate for. Say, LA, I could appreciate that you might have seen something similar, but you haven't seen this one. So I we could do this without it, but I would highly recommend that you come in and see this one here equipped this way. Because again, and I also don't know who presented the vehicle to you. I don't know if they're going to explain it to you the way that I am, but I am a certified professional. I love my job and I love helping people. And what I don't want to do is assume that somebody else did their job the right way and they didn't. So if you just give me 1% of trust, I'll earn the other 99%. All I'm simply suggesting is for you to come in and allow me to show you all the features and benefits of this vehicle, the one that you're thinking about buying. And again, this is my personality. Is it Alexa? You might not feel comfortable with this. Yeah, it says, Alexa, you might not feel comfortable with this, and I'm okay with that, but I've been doing this for 23 years, so I would say something like this, and I'm a parent. I'd say, Alexa, just tell you this right now. When my wife had our youngest right here, and I was at the nursery, I didn't turn around and say, just give me any baby. I wanted my baby. His name is Xander. Okay. So again, is that if you're interested in purchasing a vehicle, it's not a random one. It's the one that I have here. I want you to see this one. I want to show you this particular one. LA, any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the oldest things we've been saying for years in the automotive industry is that cars are like snowflakes. You're never going to find two that are exactly alike. And so if you want like a quick, snappy little comment, I don't know if you've heard that before, Alexa, but that is something that you can always say. You can let a person know that this is going to be a different experience. And then we've already talked about the value and all that different types of stuff. There's so many times where I need to let a person know, listen, we need to date before we decide to get married, right? If you're going to have the real estate conversation, has there ever been a time? Most times people don't just, walk into a house and say, oh, I'm buying it, right? What happens is they build the relationship with the realtor, they build a relationship, and then they figure out which home they want, and then they end up purchasing after the fact.
But listen, LA, I want to be specific to Alexa too. So I would choose something like that. The second thing I would do, I would probably do three things, and then I would probably give them a price, and I'll explain how to give a price in a second. So I would go to the fact, everything I just said, that's scenario one. Scenario two is the key, it's called the trade hook. I might say, listen, Alexa, I could totally appreciate that you've seen the vehicle before, but we haven't seen your vehicle. Okay. And again, here's what I'm telling you, because of the inventory crisis, depending on the condition of your vehicle, I might be able to get you more for that vehicle than it's worth. And I can't just range you. That's something that's really, I need to have my appraiser look at that vehicle. So I simply suggest that we could kill two birds with one stone. Even though you don't need to see the new vehicle because you're pretty comfortable with it, I really need to see your vehicle so I could put the maximum amount of value on it. Again, so let's say, for example, your trade-in you think is only worth 10 grand. It might be worth 11 grand. It might be worth 12 grand because I don't want to use the word desperate, but we are so in need of inventory. We're giving people more for their vehicle than it's worth, their trade-in. So I think that we could kill two birds with one stone. As I'm showing you or re-showing you this vehicle, my certified appraiser could evaluate your vehicle and see how much equity you have in it and how much above book value I can offer you for it. So that's called a trade hook. I usually go and drive the trade. When I can't get somebody to want to come in on an appointment or to get a demonstration drive or a product presentation off of the phone, I go to the trade, because like a trade there's only one like it. That's a real snowflake. I mean, there's only one used car with that condition, mileage, wear, tear, former owner, etc. So that's the second thing. Now, the third thing, if they say, look, Sean, I don't give a shit. Don't care about that. I just want to have the bottom line price before I waste my time. Then what I'm going to do, I know, Sam, we're a couple minutes over. So I got this. So again, what I'm going to say to you is bottom line is this. If you have to give a price quote, here's the end of the presentation, do it only through video. A video email or video text message, because 96% of price quotes get shopped, at least, probably 99, but it's about 96 as a stat. So if you give somebody a price quote in an email or text message, they're going to skip whatever you're saying and just look at and isolate the number. But if you have a video, you could talk about value. You could say something like, hey, Alexa, this is Sean Bradley. You're looking for the bottom line price on that vehicle. Before I do, let me just tell you what we do different and better than anybody else. Value, 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 boom. The other aspect is going to be if it's before. So watch. Hey, Alexa, I know you're looking for the bottom line price. That price is $22,500. Now, if you're flexible to options and colors, I might be able to even do better than that. Also, Alexa, I don't know if you qualify for some hidden money. All manufacturers have money and incentives that are not open to the public, whether you're a military, law enforcement, you're a college grad, and there's a whole bunch of criteria. So what I like to do is set up a quick, appointment for you to come in, or even a Zoom call for us to go over to see what you qualify for. So what I'm trying to say to you guys is this: if you use video, you have 15 to 30 seconds before you give the price quote to build value. That's the thing I want you to get from this entire webinar today, is that price is only relevant with the absence of value. Price is only relevant with the absence of value. You've got to build value.
So there you have it, the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. This podcast comes to you every week from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you have a question about the show or would like the chance to become a guest, feel free to contact us directly at 856-546-2440 or email us at millionairecarsalesman@gmail.com. This program is a presentation of Synergy Records, produced by Tiana Mick and L.A. Williams. Production and engineering by L.A. Williams. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is hosted every week by L.A. Williams and the Millionaire Car Salesman himself, Sean V. Bradley. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast can be found everywhere, so please don't forget to review, subscribe to, and share the show. Thanks for listening to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and remember, where I'm from, money provides options. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is sponsored in part by Autoweb. If you enjoyed this podcast, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a review. Let some other folks know about it. Oh, and don't forget to join the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook. We'll see you there.